CDBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
Can't you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire? Kiss me, baby, touch me. Kiss me, baby, love me.
追剧追成兄弟，申办 Hi Netflix 方案 ，Hi Net 招待你看1年 Netflix，一家多装置追剧，就算生活不同步，心也能同步。Hi Netflix。
等等，你追到下一集了，哦，人家等一下才要看啦。不会了，这集好好看哦。
母女追剧，追成姐妹，申办 Hi Netflix 方案，Hi Net 招待你看1年 Netflix，一家多装置追剧，就算生活不同步，心也能同步。Hi Netflix。
CDBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
Can't you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire? Kiss me, baby, touch me. Kiss me, baby, love me.
哎，宝贝，我等来啊。
好的。
喜欢新的回家模式吗？
妈妈来家里吃饭。
大号要做饭啊！哎，宝贝，我要去吃饭。
好的。
8种情境任你切换，属于台湾人的智慧音箱，i 宝贝。
哎，这下
永远走在最前面，中华电信。
等等，你真的下机了？哦，人家等一下才要看啦。不会了，这集好好看哦。
母女追剧，追成姐妹。申办 High Netflix 方案，High Net 招待你看1年 Netflix，一家多装置追剧，就算生活不同步，心也能同步。High Netflix。
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution. But we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
can't you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire? Kiss me, baby, touch me. Kiss me, baby, love me.
追剧追成兄弟，申办 High Netflix 方案，High Net 招待你看1年 Netflix，一家多装置追剧，就算生活不同步，心也能同步。High Netflix。
哎，宝贝，我等来啊。
好的。喜欢新的回家模式吗？
妈妈来家里吃饭。
大号要做饭啊！哎，宝贝，我要去吃饭。
好的。
8种情境任你切换，属于台湾人的智慧音箱，i 宝贝。
哎，这下
永远走在最前面，中华电信。
Hey everyone, SafeLocked here on behalf of the League team. Today we want to share some of our upcoming plans for events, game modes, and skins. Let's start with the upcoming summer event. Back in January, Viego, the Ruined King, returned to Runeterra. He defeated Senna and Lucian, and since then the stakes have been slowly rising. Starting next week, we'll follow the rise of the Sentinels as they band together with new and familiar faces against Viego and make a last stand to save Runeterra from ruin. After Spirit Blossom, we heard how much you enjoyed these more immersive events in the client, and so we'll be doing something similar for Sentinels of Light. Additionally, this event will be based in core canonical lore. Every skin, story, and moment you experience in the MOBA will be moving the story of Runeterra and its champions forward, which is something we know you've wanted for a long time. This won't always be the case for our big events. Each year, we'll explore different directions to help them stand out on their own, rather than continuing a pattern. No matter what it looks like, we hope those of you who enjoyed Spirit Blossom will be excited for Sentinels of Light and whatever 2022 might bring, and so on. And with that, let's jump into game modes. When it comes to game modes, we believe modes that amplify champion fantasies are our sweet spot. For example, in Earth, we amplify fantasies by asking, what if my champion could cast all the time? And in One For All, we ask, what if my champion could stack with itself? We've been running game modes like this alongside every event, but we know it's been a while since we've tried something new. So today, I'm happy to say that we're launching a brand new game mode alongside the Sentinels of Light event. This mode started with a different question. Which ultimate would you steal to pull off the wombo combo of your dreams? The result is Ultimate Spellbook. In Ultimate Spellbook, you get to choose another champion's ult from 3 different options. You'll still get your ultimate as usual, and your new ult will take the place of one of your summoner's spells. This means you'll be able to use it after a short initial cooldown. Have you ever wanted 3 gap closers on Nasus? Or to double snipe an enemy? Maybe you just want someone to finally peel for you. No matter your dream, this is your time to shine. We can't wait to see all the crazy combos you all come up with. And with that, let's hand things over to Ambrielle, who's going to talk a little bit about skins.
Hi everyone, I'm Ambrielle and I'm the product lead for the skins team, filling in for Bellissimo. We have a lot to talk about, so let's jump right into it. Because we're making more and more skins every year, it's important that we find new thematics you're all really excited about. So this year we wanted to explore some new worlds and expand on a few smaller ones. One of our biggest new thematics so far has been Space Groove, and we gotta say, you were all really vibing with this one. We took a bit of a risk here, as Space Groove doesn't really look or sound like anything we've done before. But you all seem to really love the fresh new approach, so we'll be revisiting this groovy galaxy in the future. While not a brand new thematic, bees were a hit. During development, our team was excited about them, but we were still surprised by just how much you loved them. So you can definitely expect to see more bees buzzing onto the Rift at some point. One new thematic that didn't go as well as we'd hoped was Lunar Beasts. Sometimes we try something new and it just doesn't hit the mark. So next year, along with an old favorite, you can expect a new skin line to celebrate the Lunar New Year. During the thematic vote in January, you all chose Crime City Nightmare as the new thematic you'd like to see. Debonair 2.0 came in at a close second, so we decided to make them both. First up is Crime City Nightmare, the dark and mysterious Cthulhu-inspired cityscape. Since January, we've made a lot of progress on building out this world. This means everything from shape language to color schemes and determining just how many spooky eyeballs is too many. Today, we're ready to share the final concepts for Akali and Twisted Fate. In these pieces, you can really see how we've played around with how each champion can fully embrace their eldritch power during high points of their gameplay. Right now, we're working on bringing these designs along with 3 other skins into the game. If everything goes as planned, the dark underbelly of Valorant City will make itself known next month. Then later this year, Debonair 2.0 will tell the story of champions vying for powerful elixirs in a modern noir world. We're still early on in development for exploring this opulent universe, but are excited about the progress we've made in landing their VFX in a really fresh space. Before we go, we wanted to say a quick word on skins overall. We've been keeping up a pretty good pace these days, and we're on track to hit over 140 skins this year. As a part of that effort, we've made more skins for underserved champions, and while there's always more work to do, one name has been coming up more often than others, and that's Kayn. While we're not ready to share a concept just yet, we can confirm that Kayn has a new skin in development, and we're looking forward to getting it into your hands later this year. That's all we have for today. As always, thanks so much for being the players that make all of this possible, and we'll see you next time.
CDBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
Can't you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire? Kiss me, baby, touch me. Kiss me, baby, love me.
追剧追成兄弟，申办 Hi Netflix 方案 ，HiNet 招待你看1年 Netflix，一家多装置追剧，就算生活不同步，心也能同步。Hi Netflix。
等等，你真的下机了？哦，人家等一下才要看啦。我回来了，这集好好看哦。
母女追剧追成姐妹，申办 Hi Netflix 方案，HiNet 招待你看1年 Netflix，一家多装置追剧，就算生活不同步，心也能同步。Hi Netflix。
CDBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
Can't you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire? Kiss me,
哎，宝贝，我等了。
好的。喜欢新的回家模式吗？
妈妈来家里吃饭。
嗨，多后背做饭啊！哎，宝贝，我要去吃饭。
好的。
8种情境任你切换，属于台湾人的智慧音箱，i 宝贝。
哎，这下
永远走在最前面，中华电信。
等等，你真的下机了？哦，人家等一下才要看啦。不回来了，自己好好看哦。
母女追剧，追成姐妹，申办 Hi Netflix 方案，Hi Net 招待你看1年 Netflix，一家多装置追剧，就算生活不同步，心也能同步。Hi Netflix。
CDBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
Can't you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire? Kiss me, baby, touch me. Kiss me, baby, love me.
追剧追成兄弟，申办 Hi Netflix 方案，Hi Net 招待你看1年 Netflix，一家多装置追剧，就算生活不同步，心也能同步。Hi Netflix。
哎，宝贝，我等了。
好的。喜欢新的回家模式吗？
妈妈来家里吃饭。
嗨，多后背做饭啊！哎，宝贝，我要去吃饭。
好的。
8种情境任你切换，属于台湾人的智慧音箱，i 宝贝。
哎，这下
永远走在最前面，中华电信。
Hey everyone.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
Can't you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire? Kiss me, baby, touch me. Kiss me, baby, love me.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here and glad to be back in the color position. It's been a while since I can actually drop my voice and act like a stone-faced color caster without showing any emotion.
It's great. Also, I realized I was muted for like 10 seconds. With that, apologize. Everybody, I'm Pyrotechnics, he's Clement. You all knew that, but now you know it again, and it's wonderful. But before we get further into today's broadcast, I do want to give a shout out and a thanks for our sponsors today. It is, of course, CTBC Bank, China Airlines, and Changhua Telecom. And, of course, our organizers as well, Riot Games, Garena, and Carry Live, without whom the broadcast literally couldn't happen. So thanks to you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for feeding my family. Thanks.
Might as well. It's good stuff. But yeah, Clement, we saw some crazy stuff yesterday. I'm the newcomer to the PCS. I wanted to ask you what like the biggest surprises, the biggest standouts to you were. I think I might know some of the answers, but I'm curious what you had to say.
Oh, yesterday was our first glimpse into 11.13. We got no upsets according to the spring standings, but we did see a couple of interesting picks come out here and there. Impunity, definitely super interesting with Moonblack on the roster, bringing out that Heimerdinger, and of course Boom Esports, Ruby sticking to his guns, not playing the meta, and going for the Vladimir. So a lot of teams showcasing their own flavor.
Yeah, burst meta, what burst meta? Certainly not here, at least coming out of the mid lane for some of these players. Really excited to see if they continue to bring that style, if teams really adapt to them. Here, of course, on 11.13, it's definitely shaking some things up across the Rift, across the regions. But here in the PCS, some of those players still sticking to their guns.
And we have a lot of unique picks. Of course, the general meta still looks the same. Akali and Xin Zhao seem to be the go-to bans for every team in the tournament so far. Just taking a look at the standings, not a huge surprise here, but PSG still a cut above the rest.
Certainly, and it's easy to anyone watching exactly why that is the case. This team just outclasses the competition. Of course, their first matchup, a rematch of the spring finals up against Megabank Beyond Gaming. And, Beyond looks pretty good, all things considered, but it's just so hard to compete with the big boys. And we'll have to see how things go today, of course, because we do have our schedule, all 6 games up on your screen right now. Boom Esports will be taking on J-Team for the first match of the day, followed by Alpha Esports, and once again, the returning champions PSG Talon. J-Team returns for a bout against Liab Esports, and, you can see the rest of it. I'm excited for all these matches, but Clement, is there one you've got your eye on in particular?
It definitely has to be Megabank Beyond Gaming versus Machi Esports. This is our lower bracket finals match, and honestly, Beyond Gaming, this is the team they sort of upset to go into the finals and really break into the top 2. So a lot of rivalry between these two teams. I would say they're really like the trifecta of the PCS, Machi Esports, Beyond Gaming, and Megabank Beyond Gaming, and of course PSG.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams like really at that top level, like not quite in first place. That's still pretty much occupied by PSG Talon until something changes. But in the meantime, everybody really trying to fight for those top playoff spots. But what I do love about this league, of course, is that you only need to make top 8 to get into the playoffs. It's a very, very big bracket, so the teams have plenty of time to improve, even if they just squeak in at the end.
Definitely true, and we have to talk about, the stakes at the very end of the split will be, if you're first place, you get seated directly into groups, and if you're second place, you get a play-in seat at Worlds as well. So most eyes are still going to be on who gets the summer finals.
Now, it's obviously way too early to try and tell. I think PSG Talon very much a favorite going into this, and again, until further notice. But is Beyond, even with just that one game, is it too early to tell, or do you think that maybe there's other teams that might be able to challenge them at the moment?
I'll be honest, I felt like Beyond looked extremely rough in their first game. The draft was kind of all over the place, and they still showcased an inability to play aggressive early games, which has been their biggest weakness in spring as well. They have one of the longest game times. They tend to drag on despite drafting for early game, so that's going to be a big issue, and until they fix that, I'm not sure I'm fully on board the Beyond Gaming hype train.
Ooh, okay. Well, we'll have to see if they can make you a believer eventually. But, they'll be playing a little bit later today. I do want to get into the matchup that we've got at hand here. It's going to be Boom Esports taking on J-Team. Now, both of them had some interesting matches yesterday. J-Team in particular had a very, very long game against Machi X at the end there. It did kind of feel like they were fumbling around a little bit.
Yeah, I think J-Team were the team that was hardest hit by the meta. You think about Mission, he's definitely control mage first. And if you think about Hana, he's more of a utility jungle. And that's just not the case in this meta. Your junglers have to be carries, you have to go on things like Rumble, you have to play Diana, and I just don't think they fit the meta particularly well. I kind of predicted them to take the largest slide. And Boom Esports, on the other hand, I feel like they are much more comfortable on this patch. So we'll see if Boom Esports can actually overtake J-Team here.
Yeah, and Boom, one of those teams that certainly decided that they didn't have to necessarily play the meta the way that everyone else was expecting. I mean, that Vladimir seemed to catch everyone by surprise. I know you went back and did a little bit of digging. I was checking it out myself, and I don't think we really saw Vladimir anywhere else in Professional League of Legends on this patch, or honestly for a while, as far as I can tell. That seemed to come out of nowhere.
If you look at all the leagues combined and you count all of the challenger leagues together, there is something like about 2,000 games competitively, and that was our first Vlad. So that just kind of tells you how rare that pick actually is. And wow, Alex actually starting today.
Oh, we're going to have Alex back in the jungle role. So, of course, Boom Esports, have a cycling jungle there. Alex and Holo are going to be able to sub between each other. But we were just talking about Ruby, that man in the mid lane, to see if he can continue to buck the trend of those bursty assassins in the mid and play things like the Vladimir. But looking at the rest of the lineup, rounding it out, we have Rocky in the top side, Alex, as you mentioned, the starting jungler with Ruby in mid, and then Wako and Pop. Apart from Ruby, is Alex a big standout in your mind? I know we were talking a little bit before the broadcast about this guy.
Yeah, this guy has a lot of competitive experience. He was on AHQ, he went to LPL, and was actually a trainee for EDG for quite a while. So if you look at the pedigree and his experience, he should be a cut above Holo, who only played on a Hong Kong Attitude in terms of PCS level. So Alex coming in, I think, is a huge boom, and this guy is an absolute highlight reel. His Rengar, his Lee Sin, has left a lasting impression on a lot of the old LMS fans.
Absolutely. Now, thinking about Alex as well, we talking about that Lee Sin, that has been one of the champions that has been flexing around a little bit, because while it's been a powerful solo lane pickup, even with the E-nerfs coming in here, we have seen some of the players here in the PCS flex it into the jungle when they don't need one of those more AP-oriented junglers like the Diana. Do you think Alex will... Well, I'll ask you about that in a minute, because we do want to talk about J-Team, their opponents today. Rest up in the top side, it's going to be Hana in the jungle, Mission in the mid, Lil V, and Woody will round out your bottom side. Now, I think Mission is a name, if you're new to the PCS, Mission's a name you're still going to recognize. Who else do you have your eye on for this particular roster, Clement?
For this one, I think Res is going to have a really good split. His game one was terrific, even though he was playing something that was a little bit off meta in the Hail of Blades Gnar. That was really interesting to see. But I think, this is definitely the meta for him. He's more of a fighter player compared to Driver, who is more of a weak side top laner. So if you look at the meta in general, where I don't think Hana is going to fit the meta very well, you're going to have to get more output from Rest. And also Lil V, this is not an AD carry meta. AD carry, I would say, is probably the most relevant role out of the 5. So I'm really looking to Rest to kind of buttress up this team and keep their hopes at maintaining that trifecta position within the PCS.
Yeah, top side focus and seeing what Hana can do to really try and get those lanes ahead as well. If the bottom plays weak side, do you think that on the opposite side for Boom, that'll enable Pop to just get a lot of roams off early, or do you think he'll try to help Wako just dominate that lane?
Well, it's interesting to see what they go for in the meta. They could still definitely play lane dominant, but obviously the picks like Kalista and Varus, they do drop off a lot harder compared to something like the Kai'Sa or Samira that has been running around in the spring meta. We're going to take a close look at that, but so far the ban picks are pretty standard. Nobody expects Mission's Lucian to go through, and everyone has been banning Xin Zhao.
Yeah, and speaking of Mission, you have been talking a little bit, again, pre-broadcast, we were mentioning it. Mission maybe a little rough for him right now in this meta in particular, because he is more known for those control mages, his Orianas and things like that, and you're not going to get to see that at the moment. As Viego is banned out, that's a champion that made it through a lot yesterday.
Yeah, we have the typical suite of Tier 1 champions just being taken out. But what I'm really looking at here is Thresh and Renekton being left open. Those are kind of the big two that are left. Renekton is pretty much globally banned, especially in the LPL, but we'll see if that trend continues in the PCS. Not actually going through. Diana, definitely a carry jungle. We see Karsa with a great job on that. Alex following in his footsteps. On the other hand, Hana going for Lee Sin and Rest going for the Gwen. So I do see J-Team trying to focus more on just getting Rest ahead. while Boom Esports definitely going to index into Alex being that carry.
Try to carry out of that jungle. We'll see what Boom end up picking up here for the next rotation. So the Lee Sin being locked is interesting to me because they'd already shown the top side, so there's no flex. I guess they were just confident in what they wanted. Hovering on the Varus right now for Wako. See if they end up picking it up, and it is going to get locked in.
This is what we expect from Wako. He likes to play early aggressive champions. So I think the poke comp really fits him quite well. Also allows Pop to roam, like we mentioned. On the flip side, J-Team, if they do show the LeBlanc here, you know, it's one of the best mid-jungles that you can potentially draft, but it's also something that I'm not sure J-Team can pilot to maximum efficiency. You really need great synergy between your mid-jungle if you're going to go for something that is this aggressive, but also falls off really hard in the late game. So it's kind of a test to see this. I'm actually not that sold that Mission and Hana can actually pull it off. They've not been known to have the greatest synergy, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's early on in the season, you know, plenty of time to try and build that up, and you can only do so much in the scrims. But we get into the second ban phase, and there's going to be a Lissandra removed from the pool. Keeping in mind, of course, Ruby did not at all subscribe to Burst and decided to go for a Vladimir instead. There's that Thresh ban. It does not make it through the second time around.
Yeah, I expected J-Team to actually go for Thresh a little bit earlier. Woody has shown a bit of proficiency on it, and it really allows them to play more hyper carries like the Aphelios. So definitely going to take that out for Boom Esports. No surprise here. I feel like this draft, J-Team, just by going for such a top-side heavy draft, has really revealed their cards. Maybe it's not even about how good Mission can snowball. Maybe it's just all about how much he can leave lane and actually link up with Rest. This is something I do want to see. I think it is kind of the future pivot for J-Team on this 11.13 patch.
Look for the rest carry and see how much they can get kills shoveled straight into the scissors. For Boom Esports, they've got one more ban remaining. Will they continue to try and hit Woody's pool? They do with that Nautilus ban.
It's kind of
instantly out of luck.
Yeah, I don't think Nautilus is actually Woody's best champion. I think Nautilus is actually one of his weaker ones. I'd be perfectly happy to let him have that one. But yeah, Boom Esports just making sure they can't roam that much and going to take Alistar instead. So we do have, you know, you could argue that most engaged champions are off the table, but I also see Alistar as being a great combo piece right here. Wow, Boom Esports going for almost the exact same comp. Yeah, as their day one comp. This is the Wombo combo comp. If you get that Alistar stun, you get Moonfall, and you follow it up with Hemo Plague, that's an instant team wipe.
Yeah, just going ahead and giving it back to Ruby. If it ain't broke, don't fix it so far. 100% win rate for Vladimir, one day of the PCS. J-Team got one more pick to go. The hover. Yeah, we saw that Draven hover. I wanted to, but it's going to be Ezreal. They're going to play it safe.
You chicken out of that. I'm so sad. Come on, let's go. Draven's actually playable on this match. He's one of the few champions I feel like has pretty decent matchups into things like Aphelios. He can bully out a lot of these quote-unquote lane-dominant champions like Varus and Kalista, but they didn't go for it. I'm a little bit disappointed. This is sort of the safe option and the expected answer.
So it does look like playing safe when they can on the map, where they have the weaker bottom side, but also really focusing on the top to try and get Rest ahead. Of course, Rest with very aggressive summoner spells, no teleport, or excuse me, no flash, ignite. Well, we're going to have to see how it all works out. I mean, Clement, whose comp do you like more? I think I might know the answer to this one.
I do favor the right side a little bit more. I feel like they're playing more on the meta. It's about tempo. You go towards the top side. Bottom side is definitely the weak side of the map, like you mentioned. Varus can get that push a little bit earlier against Ezreal, but we do have to mention that Volibear has been considered sort of the a counter to the Gwen pick. You know, when she wants to fight those champions that can't really deal with her inside her hollowed mist. But Volibear happens to be one of those champions that can fight her in the mist. He has burst damage, so if he doesn't want to continue the trade and let her get those extra snips or 1,000 cuts, he can just back out quite easily. So, you know, it really is a matchup where I feel like they will have to invest a bit more resources into the top side to make sure Rust can actually be that split pushing threat. Or if we just look at the champion picks themselves, then you don't really expect this Gwen to have that much impact.
Yeah, and I feel like that maybe they're putting a lot of eggs in that basket, but it is possible that we see something out of Mission here on this LeBlanc. You did mention a lot of roaming. This is a very mobile team, right? I mean, you look at everybody across the board, and they can get around maybe Woody will have a little harder time than the rest, but it does feel like JT maybe want to get things going a little faster. I know typically they kind of tend to sit back and let the game come to them, but I don't think Boom's going to allow that.
Yeah, this is a really interesting draft from J-Team. It definitely feels a bit more experimental. I don't think they draft this way if they're going up against Machi or going up against guys like PSG. This is definitely trying to extend their repertoire. And I would say that I do favor their draft. I think Boom Esports, if you look at the mobility on J-Team, it's really impossible to conjure up a situation where J-Team will allow themselves to get 3 or 4 man wombo combo. I think that's pretty much impossible to wombo combo Lee Sin, LeBlanc, and Ezreal all together, and that just takes away so much of that AoE potential from Boom Esports. Boom Esports, they need perfect execution to really deal with this composition or get the ideal scenario that their composition allows them to do.
Well, we'll see if they can pull off an extremely difficult combination for themselves, but for now, we are loading on to the Summoner's Rift for the first game here of the PCS Summer. Week 1, Day 2. Boom Esports on the blue side up against J-Team on the red. And so far, standard line of scrimmage, nothing crazy. No cheeky invades. That's okay.
So the thing I'm looking at here is definitely the jungle pathing early on. You do have a lot of crowd control from Rocky, and we do have to mention that Russ is not bringing Flash. So I do expect Hana to have to start on the bottom side and actually protect Rest a little bit. This could be a very volatile matchup if he doesn't show himself on the first clear. However, it does look like, okay, he is transiting towards the bot lane. That makes a lot more sense in my mind. And taking a look at the runes right here, once again, we're going to have the Electrocute Vladimir.
Yeah, why not? You know, again, it worked for Ruby. Until that changes, I don't see him picking something different. But J-Team are going for a little bit of a brush hide here. And if anybody wanders into that trap or they come to pop, could be in a little bit of trouble. See if they can get a summoner off him to start the game. Does get the knock-up. And he's able to walk away for free. But now they know that the red buff's happening, so this should just be a little bit of vertical jungle. Or horizontal jungle, I suppose.
I do think that Lee Sin is actually going to try to go red to red. And if he does that, that completely eliminates Volibear's capability to kind of go into his side of the jungle. And you can see J-Team has a setup already. They do have that ward on their own Raptor ramp, so it does mean that they will know if Diana's going up there. Well, like we said once more, their best scenario is to actually get Rest ahead, so I don't actually think that they want to do straight vertical jungle with Diana on the top side. That seems to be actually a very unfavorable trade for them, so I do want to see Hana actually try and rotate back towards that lane. But in the meantime, Rest level 1 on this Gwen. The slip and slash is just so good level 1 that you almost always force the enemy top laner to respect your zone at that point.
And Rocky at level 1, definitely few options to deal with that. But as the game goes, we'll have to see how well of a counter this will prove to be. Meanwhile, Hana gonna run straight into Alex in his own jungle. Does connect with the Sonic Wave. A little bit of action here. Level disadvantage, but Alex not able to react quite as easily. And it does seem like the name of the game for J-Team is keep that Diana down.
Yeah, that was a really smart move from J-Team overall. Well, like we said, once again, the main early game objective is to protect Rest from getting ganked and getting his lane snowballed against him. If you're not running Flash, it's actually very easy to just lose out on this top lane and be irrelevant the entire game. So I love what J-Team did. Late invade into tracking enemy jungler, and their setup was very clear that they did not want to trade vertically. They just wanted to make sure that they could do Lee Sin red to red, and you could see Hana getting the better of Alex there. Even though he was level 2 versus level 3, he is that Lee Sin, and he did wait until Alex used his entire rotation. So very well done there. He had a bit of a bot lane scuffle here.
Yeah, Wako really just stepping up and trying to punish the positioning of Lil V there. And, you know, talking about him being a bit more of an aggressive player, whereas J-Team going to try to play on that weak side. However, they will get a bit of assistance. It looks like Hana might be coming down. He does walk through the lane. They do manage to go in. One knock-up there, but they look for the damage onto Wako. Lil V able to just turn on to Pop, and we might have first blood. Ooh. Hana flashing in for it.
Yeah, really nice E-flash right there. Hana showing some Lee Sin mechanics that we didn't really even know he had. This was a pretty smart move overall. And Wako...
And now we're done. Woody very low, though. Alex, he wants his own kill, and Hana, he was not out just yet, but not close enough to help save the day. It ends up being a trade of the supports.
Yeah, another good move coming here by Alex. They didn't expect him to be there. If you look at the map, his Krug Camp is just about to come up. So J-Team thought that Diana would only be on the top side, but he makes the rotation and picks up the Krugs that were counter-jungled instead. That's a really smart rotation from Alex, and he's just in the right place at the right time.
It's a good sense of where he needs to be on the map, and it's that kind of thing that's going to help out Boom Esports in this game. I didn't really expect to be covering the action in the bottom lane as much this early, to tell you the truth, Clement, but looks like that's going to be the case, even though we're only a couple minutes into this one. 1-for-1 in kills as Rest gets the lane shoved into him. Rocky, not a whole lot of trouble, considering for a little while he was 2 levels down, but that was just because he couldn't contest Rest up front and center.
Yeah, I think he should still be fine in this lane. He did get the counter pick. In this sense, the Gwen was the first pick on J-Team's side. So, you know, if you get the counter, you kind of expect you to yourself to do okay in lane. But so far, this lead from Rest is much larger than I expected it would be. I definitely don't think he should be this far up. So, you know, that kind of goes to show you that Rest, in terms of his caliber as a top laner, he has been one of the better fighters in the PCS, and it definitely shows in this early laning.
And this isn't a league that's just chock full of aggressive top laners, too. Like, you get a lot of practical experience when you're playing top lane in this league. Hana making his move once again into the jungle, tagging in with Woody. And it looks like they will start off on that Ocean Dragon. A couple of missing pings from Boom. I think they know something's up here, but they're not in a position to contest it.
It was actually really good pathing from Hana. He did the surprise gank onto the bot lane without touching his red side, and then he came out and did a red to bottom clear for the objective, while they had vision on Alex in the top side. So very safe, very nice moves all over the board. Again, I want to emphasize, this is not typically how Lee Sin plus LeBlanc is played. Usually you expect the Lee Sin to be 24/7 around LeBlanc, but J-Team is adding their own flair in here. I'm a little bit worried that LeBlanc is not going to be able to contribute that much if she isn't snowballed. But this is J-Team. This is the way they play, and you know, it definitely, you can tell that they're not exactly mid-jungle priority.
It's the you know, it's the classic poke LeBlanc strategy. Although it does seem to be working. Every time I look at a Vladimir health bar, I have to remind myself, actually, it's not really that much of a problem. Because he's just going to heal it right back up. But this has been a pretty quiet mid lane, all things considered. And if you are just tuning in, yes, that is in fact a Vladimir you see. And yeah, that's a Ruby thing.
It's kind of ridiculous that Vladimir is actually playable. The thing about Electrocute Vladimir is he doesn't really have a teamfight presence. He doesn't really have the move speed to go into the backline. And we haven't seen any Vladimirs after the phase rush nerfs. Ruby just tried to plant his face onto mission. Ooh, this is going to be really close.
Ooh, that is... he's going to be okay. That was really, really close to the calculation. Hana going to intercept Alex here, and Woody is also there, and they just stick onto him. Easy peasy. Pop tries to come in to save his life, but it's too little too late. They even get a stun off, and my goodness, Hana's running wild.
Yeah, I didn't expect this from Hana. This is probably his best early game we've seen in quite a while. Alex, definitely... That was a very questionable pathing to go directly from the lane towards the bottom side brush while the support was missing.
Speaking of
it was a little bit careless, in all honesty.
A bit of a dive onto Wako. Yeah, I think they're going to try and snowball this best they can. Really nowhere for that Vars to go. He just tries to shred Woody's health bar with the help of the tower, but very good collapse, and J-Team all of a sudden finding themselves with a sizable gold lead.
I am so impressed by this early game from J-Team. It was really clean, they protected Rest, and they were able to punish Alex multiple times just with the early tracking going on. So J-Team in a commanding lead at this position, at this point in time, and you know, Boom Esports, I feel like their team composition, a lot of things need to be working for them. This top lane's not working out. Their Wombo combo has to wait until 6, so I think Boom Esports, at some point, they have to force themselves onto a Drake fight in order to get themselves into a Wombo combo position. If you don't have all of your pieces together for a 5v5, this comp doesn't actually do that much, so I expect them to try and force objectives pretty soon.
I really don't think they expected to find themselves in this much of a deficit early on, and you know, they had some good lanes that they had picked for, but just the moves on the map from J-Team have just been so good. And meanwhile, quietly, Rest is just continuing to hard shove wave after wave after wave. He doesn't need to get the kill onto Volibear because he can just keep building that advantage and just snip down all the minions.
And a lot of this is coming out from the tracking that they're doing on Alex. If you look at the bottom lane right now, Alex has just passed through 2 wards repeatedly, and Rest felt comfortable enough to actually just go and proxy farm. So this definitely not what you want to see out of your top lane counter, and Rocky might be going down.
Oh my goodness, he has to burn the flash and his ultimate just to get out of there. That's not a good look if you're BME's top laner. Meanwhile, though, there is a contest onto Rift Herald, and Hana's like, wait a minute, I wanted that. And I don't even know who got it. But Hana does manage to get out alive. It looks like, yeah, BME, they finished the smite.
I gotta say, that was a bit of an overreach from Hana. He could have waited a little bit and got that for free because the top laner was obviously gone. But he tried to do too much at the same time and got punished for it. So Boom Esports is going to pick up the Herald. They did over-rotate, though. If you look at the bottom side, Pop actually didn't manage to do anything in the top side, and they also just let Turret play there. So a lot of this is going to go into Lil V's pocket. He's going to be a little bit more accelerated than usual.
Lil V's going to be pretty happy with that turn of events. At the same time, despite the mistake on Rift Herald, J-Team looking pretty strong at this 10-minute mark. A Dragon in their pocket as well. Good map presence. The ward coverage is there. And yeah, Mission, I hate to tell you this, buddy. I don't know if you're going to be able to kill Ruby anytime soon, but I do appreciate that you keep trying.
Yeah, that's definitely what you want to do as Mission side on the LeBlanc, but we have to remember that Vladimir, it is an old counterpick to the LeBlanc. It's very difficult to actually kill the Vlad. He can dodge out on your chains, he has a ton of sustain, and he can outpush you in lane as well. So I don't expect much to happen here, but we'll see what Mission's LeBlanc can do without being accelerated when it comes to mid-late game.
Yeah, I'm really curious what they end up doing with this pick, because as you've mentioned a couple of times now, they have not played around it in any way whatsoever. They're just leaving that mid lane as like kind of a neutral game. Pop is caught on the Sonic Wave, not going to follow that one through as they don't land anything else on top of it. Woody and him have been roaming through Boom Esports jungle, and they'll start off on this Mountain Dragon instead. This one's a little riskier, as it's pretty obvious what they're doing, and they're going to try to pull it out of the pit.
I do also want to mention that Rest does have his TP in the red side jungle, so J-Team could just attempt for a full-on engage.
They're trying for it right now. That's a good 3-man pull as they manage to get a little bit of lockdown, but the damage turn here. Lilvi in a very safe position is able to take down Alex, and the rest of the team from Boom still chasing through. They managed to find Mission. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but all of a sudden Rest has joined the fray, and Boom do not want that.
Yeah, I think the main problem with that play right there was that Ruby and Rocky were not in position. You really want to get the Hemo Plague layered on top of the Moonfall. That's your Wombo combo. And if we look at this play once more, you can see Alex goes in a little bit prematurely. The AoE ultimate doesn't actually come out from Vladimir until much later. And when Ruby finally does get the ult, he only tags one person with it. So it looked good from Alex at the start, but honestly, this is not how you want to play the Wombo combo. The 3 big ultimates coming in from Wako, Ruby, and Alex were very, very much apart, and that teamfight did not come together.
No, I like that they were looking for something, but it's just they're not on the same page about when they're going in, where they need to be to do it. So they unfortunately get a little bit punished. They will pop that Eye of the Rift Herald up in the top side, but that should just get the one charge as Mission is here to try and defend it. See if he gets enough damage to actually clear it through. Yes, easily is able to do that, and there's a lot of members, well, only 2 of them stacked towards the top side. A lot of pings, I should say, flying as they were potentially looking to rotate, but for what? I cannot guess. Woody nearly gotten caught out there, but he's fine. Hana looks to tag in. Sonic Wave splits the uprights, and, well, they look for Ruby, but he just walks away from everything.
I'm not really sure why Boom Esports are face-checking this area of the map. They just showed multiple members on the top side, and honestly, you don't expect teams to do this until their other members have rotated. Now, Hana might be in a little bit of trouble here. I think he should be fine at the very end. But honestly, that sort of play was... Ooh, there we go.
Yeah, Woody, he's the one who's not fine. Although, Mission and Hana going in to try and even the odds on this. Hana manages to take up the first kill onto Alex before Woody even goes down. Meanwhile, do they have any extra damage left in the tank? Looking for Ruby. Double knockup by Pop, and in comes Wako. These fights are messy. They are everywhere, but J-Team are winning them.
Yeah, really good coordination coming in from J-Team. They also rotate their bot lane a lot faster. Goodbye, Wako!
Yep, Lil V Kill taken on that one. Kill secured, you might say. 8-3 here, and we're not even 15 minutes on the clock. J-Team just better execution, and as you mentioned, Clement, they don't have to pull off a wombo combo. They got a lot more versatility.
Yeah, it's really nice to see J-Team actually getting these leads. They get the first chunk out at the start. They do get that free flash from Vladimir, which is incredibly crucial in this team fight. And when it comes to the follow-up here, I think it's just a rotational thing from J-Team. You can see Ezreal able to impact the fight with that True Shot Barrage a lot earlier, and he also just arrives far earlier than Wako. Wako doesn't even throw his ult out until very, very late into this team fight. He's pretty much already trying to get away from the scene. So once more, I feel like it's a bit of an overreach actually coming out from Boom Esports' side. They didn't need to force this one that heavily. And man, oh man, I just want to say that if J-Team win this, I would not be surprised to see Hana as an MVP. This is probably the best aggressive early game that I've seen from Hana ever. I can't think of a time in spring where I was more impressed with Hana's early game.
Yeah, I mean, this Lee Sin is really just everywhere he needs to be on the map and more, and it has been great to see. Hasn't focused at all on mission, but he's been just about everywhere else, and he's picking up a fair share of those kills. Great kill participation, and I think you're right, it is definitely in the running. As there's a teleport here into the back, Mission looking to cut off these three members of Boom, and there goes the Solar Flare cleansed out by Wako, but the Sonic Wave connects. Hana getting the kick, not back, but down, and Wako gets just melted here as they will take down Pop, and Lilvi picking up his third kill of the game.
Oh, that was such a 200 IQ play coming in from Hana. He did the Dragon's Raid just to separate the Alistar from his AD carry in Wako and make sure that Mission had that clear opening to go in without getting any of the crowd control from Alistar. So really well done there. Nice alley-oop. We do see the gold lead not really that far apart, though. If you look at the 10-3, you would think Boom Esports would be further behind. But they have actually kept up really well in farm for Ruby and farm for Alex. These two guys have just been 24/7 farm nonstop, and they know they're the centerpiece for the wombo combo. So I would say that Boom Esports, despite the kill deficit, are still in striking distance. They could still pull off a massive team fight in front of the objective and claw this one back.
The game is certainly far from over in this case. However, there is a nice window here for J-Team. You can see some of the item differentials with the Mythics coming in and completed compared to what Boom have got for the most part. Boom are sniffing for a play. Hana getting tagged by Alex's Diana. We'll see if they can make anything happen. It's such a dangerous thing to do, and they might have to try and contest this. This is going to be Soul Point on the Infernal. If Boom could claim that, it would go a long way toward their team fight. Now Mission cut off by Pop. Dragon going low here. Pop already down to half his health, and the spike goes down. They just waited too long, and in goes Woody. They're going to look for the combo of their own, and Alex going to be shot through the heart very quickly as Rest takes him down. Ruby pulling away, but stunned up by the chains and nowhere to go as Lilvi takes yet another kill. Decisive by JT.
That ramp is always the most dangerous part of the map. If you're the blue side team, try to go into a Dragon team fight. And Woody didn't have the ultimate right there. He was a very, very tender beef loin in this scenario. So J-Team Mission able to pick him off with no trouble, and that was the instant go button. I don't think Pop even got any of his abilities off. He just face checked that brush and he just died. You really shouldn't
talk about
be
a
doing
tender
that
beef
if you
loin.
don't have your ult. that was kind of a massive misplay from Pop, and the rest of his team just has to scatter straight after that. That's gonna also be Baron for J-Team.
My goodness, yeah, they're honestly running a masterclass right now. It was a little bit early. The Rift Herald going down. J-Team managing to clear out the map. No, but I mean, the way this game's going, Clement, you'd be forgiven for thinking Baron was up and available.
Yeah, I was like, third Drake. Oh, it's J-Team. That's probably Baron. And I just saw them.
Doesn't feel like 18 minutes. We're in a time
I saw
warp.
the empowered recall, and I was like, well, that has to be Baron, right?
Yeah, for sure. I still think it's the gold lead certainly could be a lot bigger, but J-Team are starting to crack this one open a little bit. And as I mentioned earlier, some of the item leads they had for themselves now starting to be equalized a little bit on some of those mythics. But I want to see Boom come online, and we just have not seen the level of coordination required to pull off that big wombo combo.
Yeah, I don't even think J-Team are going to allow them the chance for a wombo combo. Like, J-Team are just so flexible at this point, and I'm not sure if Ruby wants to go for that pick. I don't think they win the 2v2 at this point. Good thing that Ruby actually thinks twice about it. I think they might have spotted Hana on the rotation, so Ruby doesn't fall for his own trap.
Yeah, Mission just pulls the sweeper there, and Ruby's like, the jig is up. Pops out of the brush and just bares his fangs. Surprise Brush Vampire. But not very scary if you're Mission right now. Who's having, despite a quiet laning phase, he's starting to have a pretty good game. 3-1-7. Picked up a handful of those kills, got some gold in his pocket. He's got Hana here to help him.
Ruby,
Mission's pretty
again,
happy.
just retreating to his tower. He's not going to fall for any of this stuff. And Mission, I feel like his Akali play is actually quite decent. We just don't see him playing a lot of it. And this is a pretty good trend for him. You can see in this matchup, he's very confident that there really is no crowd control that can really land on him. He is going to just straight go for the Magi Soul Stealer here. He's feeling super comfortable. He knows that the Wombo combo cannot be targeted at a super mobile champion like the LeBlanc. So he's just going to get max damage.
Might as well do that. Ruby, pool goes down after he gets hit by the chains, and actually spends his own Hemo Plague as well, but he's just not doing nearly enough damage. This is not the Ruby from yesterday, because the caliber of the opponent, I suppose, or at least the way things are going down. Rift Herald popped, and the push is on the bottom side. A formidable phalanx, if you will, of J-Team members kind of holding the line in that bot side jungle, and really not letting Boom breathe for a moment.
And we're seeing Waka. Oh!
Rest goes in. Rocky gets the serious damage there, but a couple of snips. Once again, a defensive ult from Rocky. We've seen this how many times now as the kickback comes through, and where did Alex go?
Oh my god. Hana looking like the one that should have actually went to the LPL in this situation. Really good mechanics catching Alex out. Alex even had flash for that one. He couldn't even react before Hana just took him out.
Hana's having a ball right now. This is a full-on carry Lee Sin. I feel like he could have been more aggressive than the Gore Drinker, but you know what? He's playing smart.
Yeah, I know some people like the Prowlers. It was nerfed on 11.13. I'm happy with the Gore Drinker. Don't go too crazy in this situation. But this looks like a wrap for J-Team. I really don't know how Boom Esports are going to be able to get back onto their own red side jungle. And we have that Infernal Soul coming up in, I think less than a minute at this point.
Yeah, it looks like it's not going to be very long, and J-Team have gotten every single dragon so far. The Infernal's going to help them. Rocky stepping forward and finding the Son of Demission, but I mean, it's fine. It's LeBlanc. What are you going to do? Your team's not even there. They are trying to get an aggressive position, muscle in, to try and contest this dragon, but unless they find that perfect combination, yeah, I don't see it going too well either, and you're starting to see the difference in gold levels and items. Pressure here. J-Team can throw their weight around. And you step out of line.
This is a great move from J-Team.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at the timing right here, J-Team actually get the top lane tower and finish the TP before they get the Drake.
They actually don't even want the dragon at all right now. They just want the kills, the kick, and the turn onto Ruby. Mission taking him down for a rampage kill. Meanwhile, up at the top side of this fight, Rest just barely hanging in there as Alex burning away too, cannot do anything else. Wako body blocking for his own support, his own top laner, I should say. And that might have been only one death, but it makes all the difference here for J-Team as they can start an uncontested Infernal, and that will be the Soul.
Yeah, Boom Esports just failing the timing on the objective a little bit. They had to go in early, I can understand that, because honestly, they're not going to get a chance if J-Team are set up. But J-Team played that super patiently. I love what they did. They just pushed the other two side lanes to the max, and then caught Ruby completely out of position. Ruby was trying to find a flank or something, but Hana found him first, and that was the end of the Brush Vampire, as we so call it.
Yeah, not a very scary vampire on the scale, right? You've got your Dracula, you've got your Nosferatu. Brush Vampire, definitely on the lower side, kind of like that guy that just buys like the cheap Halloween mask and just like scares kids instead of giving them candy, you know?
Yeah, I was thinking about, Twilight, and that was probably less scary than a glittering vampire, so I'm just not so sure about Vladimir in this meta.
He's falling far down
like
the tier
such an
list.
off-ball. He definitely is. Without Phase Rush, with no Night Harvester, it's just such a weak teamfight build. You can tell that he has a lot of difficulties getting out of bad situations. He doesn't have the move speed to really keep himself safe, and That's the reason why nobody's playing Vladimir. He was very much tied to those items and tied to those runes. Without those being really prominent in the meta, it seems like almost impossible to play. Essentially, this Ruby build is more of an assassin build than it actually is a standard Vladimir build.
It's obviously very early to tell in the league, but we'll have to see, depending on how this game finishes, if it goes as expected, if Ruby starts to mix things up a little bit. Meanwhile, Rest continuing to push on. Baron is called, and they honestly have enough to just start this in earnest. They don't need to bait it out. It's a huge gold advantage. They have Infernal Soul. Mission has the teleport if things were to go awry, and they're shredding it down so much, and they have so much ward coverage in that jungle. There's almost nothing Boom can do. The miracle of all miracle fights would be needed here as Rocky checks in, the teleport goes on. They actually just have Woody blocking here as Mission teleports in. They take the Baron and immediately turn the fight a little bit low. Woody is still hanging in there, though. Rocky and Pop trying to hold that line as they scatter to the winds. Blast Cone pops. They will get away, but they could have just sat in base, and it wouldn't have made a difference.
Honestly, my only anticipation for Boom Esports is just show me one Wombo combo. Like, I honestly feel like this game was kind of lost from the draft because of how hard the execution actually is for Boom. So, if you've drafted this, please at least show me once that you can pull off a Moonfall into Hemo Play. Never
my
mind.
goodness. Rest is like, I want to carry, let me do it. Meanwhile, Hana get the kick onto two, and that was chef's kiss, Clement. Oh my word.
Has been destroyed.
That was disgusting. Rest in the meantime gets a 1v2 in the top lane as well. J-Team firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, this game, I think this is pretty safe to say this is about where it ends right now. Let's take a look at some of the gold, and it's exactly as you expected. Everybody but Woody is already out-golding everybody on the side of Boom Esports, and with the Baron buff, with the Soul, there's not much that Rocky and Pop can do but watch their Nexus and their health bars fall. However, Rocky's hanging in there for a moment, not long enough. That is going to be GG as J-Team will pick up a statement game here. And they just want to pad those stats a little bit more. True Shot Barrage coming in to cut down a couple of health bars, but with those Baron-empowered minions, Clement, it's only a matter of time. Under 26-30, J-Team GG.
I want to say sorry to Hana. I want to personally apologize on broadcast because I honestly didn't believe that he had it in him. I thought this was going to be a terrible meta for Hana. His best performances were on things like the Hecarim, or he could be utility and engage, but I never expected him to be a carry in his own right and to play the early game as tight as he did this game. This was an incredible showing from the young jungler. J-Team they're kind of like the 76ers and Ben Simmons, where they tell everyone to trust the process, and then one day Hana is going to become this great mega star in the jungle. They've stuck with this jungler for so many years without really showing that much promise. But this game, I can see a glimpse of the future. I can see a glimpse of the potential.
I do like to see a plan come to fruition. And obviously in one game, there's only so much you can take away from it. Let's take a look at this replay here. I think this is where Hana just gets that beautiful two-man kick. I mean, yeah, this kind of is the play of the game for me. The flash, the two-kick, and everyone just comes in, and the jaw snap shut. Meanwhile, Rest is like, hey, let me do you one better. Let me 1v2.
You gotta love J-Team in this game. I felt like it was such a clean execution. They knew what they wanted to do early level 1. Late invade, make sure that flashless Gwen never gets touched in the top lane, and we didn't even see a gank go there. Diana could not find time because he was so busy dealing with Hana's punches in the bottom side and all the action that he was creating. And honestly, this game from Boom Esports, I don't think the draft strategy worked. I think they had way too many scenarios where they just face-checked into the bot lane brushes for not a lot of reasons. I feel like Pop did that multiple times. We saw that from Ruby as well. And just a conceptual win, ban pick win, execution win from start to finish from J-Team.
Yeah, I really was impressed by what J-Team pulled out, especially because yesterday they looked a little lost. They looked a little scattered. They had an incredibly long game, and it felt like it was such a slog. But they had a plan in mind. It was a little experimental, but it worked out for them. And at the end of the day, I think everybody on that squad should be pretty happy about how things worked out. And I don't think anyone but Hana would be more happy with how things worked out, because that Lee Sin was just everywhere. It's like he didn't let a moment pass him by and just an incredible carry performance out of that jungler. I would be surprised if we see anything but him as the MVP for sure.
I do want to, you know, dampen your expectations a little bit, but so far Gwen has taken basically all the MVPs. She's 3 out of 6 MVPs yesterday.
I mean, this game rested fine. By the way, I'm not trying to dump on rest, but like, oh, that's so many highlight plays from the Lee Sin. Yeah, we don't get to decide it, but I am pleading. Give me the Lee Sin jungle carry MVP. But either way, I mean, that whole team was firing on cylinders. I love what Mission was able to do on the LeBlanc. He had a very quiet laning phase. He didn't get a lot of jungle attention, but he held firm against Ruby, and then all of a sudden, he just kind of opened up with a couple of kills, and then just steamrolled. And then that Medjay's came in, and it was like, all right, well, I guess it's GG now. There's the gold graph, by the way. You can see that moment when it just starts to get out of hand.
Yeah, we saw a lot of team fights that were just very one-sided from J-Team around the Drake. I think Boom Esports, when you're playing a Wombo combo comp, it's very necessary that you actually have a good foothold onto the Drake, so you can actually pull off your flanks, get everyone on the right targets. And this game was really disappointing because they just never got a Moonfall Hemoblade. If you don't get a Moonfall Hemoblade, why are you playing this composition? It just doesn't do anything. Like, honestly, the Vladimir setup, this was a short-range LeBlanc. The build, he couldn't reach backline, and it was just a worse assassin build compared to what Mission was dishing out. So, kind of disappointed in Boom Esports. I feel like they have to go back to the drawing board. This is definitely not a composition you can run 24/7. It worked on day 1. It definitely fell flat on its face in day 2.
If there's ever a time to find out that what you've been planning just does not work, it's just too cheese, it's just too weird, first week of the season, probably not the worst time. So there's definitely a lot of time for them to try and improve, but for now, they will take the L here, and J-Team will take the W. Critical, too, for Alex. Like, I feel like he never got a chance to hit the gas pedal. Like, there was just so much blocking him, and this is a large part of why Hana is our MVP, and you love to see it. Look at that kill participation. He's there 84% of the time.
Really well done. I think the tracking of the enemy jungle, like you were saying, was... I just didn't expect that out of him. Usually when Hana, especially when you think about the spring playoffs, he was heavily outclassed by Gemini, and Gemini was able to just, you know, level 3 invade him and pick on Hana the entire time. But this time the tables have really switched around. Hana getting such a good showing on something like the Lee Sin as well, which is, you know, is really a reversal of his Viego performance yesterday. Like, there was a lot of criticism on how timid he was on the Viego, not willing to go and use that Heartbreaker aggressively. But this time around, we have seen Hana on something that he's more comfortable with, and doing such a huge amount of game-ending plays on top of Boom. That was perfect. That was great to watch.
It was beautiful to see. It was incredible. But we will have to ruminate on that for just a bit, because we are going to break. We'll be right back with more of the PCS right after this.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
Can't you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire? Kiss me.
CDBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
Can't you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire? Kiss me, baby, touch me. Kiss me, baby, love me.
CDBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
Can't you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire? Kiss me, baby, touch me. Kiss me, baby, love me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again to the PCS Summer of 2021. I'm still Pyrotechnics. He is still Clement. And now we move on to game number 2, Clement. And I feel like you'd be hard-pressed to find a more lopsided one than this. But before we get into that, I do want to give a shout-out quickly to our sponsors. Of course, they are CTBC Bank, China Airlines, and Chunghwa Telecom. Thank you so much for sponsoring the PCS.
Yeah, definitely. This is one of those...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. This is definitely one of those matchups where you expect the game to end before the 25-minute mark. Personally, I am ready. I got my speed run clock up. I'm checking all the records, and I think this might be the fastest game of the split.
Ooh, and that's a hard record to beat. I mean, I believe it was just over 20 minutes was the record we've got so far.
Yeah, we had the Impunity as the victim against J-Team, and that game only lasted 20 minutes and 17 seconds. So that's kind of the game score we have to look for. PSG definitely on the record road. We have a lot of changes from Alpha Esports, but it looks like the level of execution is definitely still not where we want it to be.
We didn't see too much from them yesterday. I think there's a lot of time left in the season, but it's hard to know what to make of this team. I mean, they made a lot of changes. We've so far yet to see how well that's actually going to work out. But the problem, above anything else for them today, is the fact that they're facing off the undisputed top dog of the PCS, PSG Talon, hot off their 2-0. Let's take a look at their current starting roster. 3Z will be in the top lane. We got K-Babe in the jungle, Zhao2 in the mid, On and Shang will round out your bot lane. And if there's a name that stands out to you, Clem, if there's somebody, a hero that can step up and carry this team to a victory, who is it going to be?
That's a really hard question. I don't think there's a player that I have seen yet that can actually carry them to a victory, and I have to be very honest about this. But I will say Shen has looked like a pretty good improvement over what they had last split. At least he's not making any crazy engages that kind of dooms his teams to failure. However, 3Z yesterday he was solo killed in lane quite easily. On had a lot of execution mishaps, and K-Babe, his Lee Sin just kept kicking people into safety. So it's really difficult to see from kind of their more veteran staff where they will be able to stand on. I am, if I have to make a stand, if I have to take a bet, I'd probably go with their new support and so.
We'll have to keep an eye in that bottom lane to see how well they're able to do. But of course, it's going to be a tall order up against the likes of PSG Talent. Doesn't matter what lane you pick, or the jungle for that matter. They are just an absolute terror across the rift. But all the same, Alpha queuing up to play against these guys. We'll see if they're going to be able to find something, anything. It would be probably the upside of the split, in all honesty, if they could make it happen. There's a reason we've been talking about the speed run plays to see if PSG Talon can do it. But we'll see if Shang maybe has a couple of tricks up his sleeve. Maybe they can find themselves a composition that can do something a little bit different. So far, seem to be in pretty good spirits as we're getting ready to load into this one today. That's always a good thing.
Definitely is the case. Alpha Esports, they did have a couple of wins at the end of the season, and I think Coach Laba joining them at the end of the split in spring has been pretty good for their team overall. We saw a lot more creative drafts and trying to cheese out other teams at times.
Absolutely. Now their opponents, the champions, returning from MSI, getting the 2-0 yesterday. It will be PSG Talon, Hanabi in the top side, River in the jungle, Maple in the mid, Unified and Kaiwing on that bottom. And, there's what's not to like about this team? I mean, they feel like they're great everywhere.
I would say so myself. It seems like they had pretty much all of the best players in all of the different positions. It's, maybe Hanabi is debatable, but that's pretty much it. And honestly, from yesterday's games, Hanabi has been playing great himself. He's really been showcasing his carry chops as well, especially on the Gwen. And, Unified seems incredibly healthy. So no real obstacles to this team whatsoever.
Yeah, big scare for this team when Unified wasn't able to make it to MSI. They had to borrow Doggo from Beyond Gaming, but things turned out okay for them there, and Unified back in that 80 carry seat. I do want to talk a little bit about Hanabi, too. As you mentioned, he's been able to put on his carry pants. I've really liked this evolution from this player. I mean, traditionally known as a weak side top laner, he's rounded out a little bit, whether it's the caliber of the opposition he's facing or something else. Hanabi's been really showing some impressive performances.
And that's an impressive roar from River. Wow, that's
that went on for like
game.
10 seconds. Holy moly!
Well, you got to get your oxygen. right before the
Yeah,
game.
I guess you do.
That's definitely the case.
Remember to breathe, everybody. That's important. Drink water, breathe, and everything else is more or less optional. Alpha Esports starting off. We will see the LeBlanc and the Akali band away. No surprises. I mean, Maple's a guy with a champion ocean, but at the same time, you can't give him Akali.
This is pretty much the please don't speedrun me, bro type of bans we expect. Taking all the hyper snowballing assassins, but leaving some strong picks on the table as well. I wonder if Xin Zhao is actually going to go through the draft. Xin Zhao would be a champion that I feel like KB would instantly snap into if it is left for the taking.
It might just be the case. Some smiles on the faces of Alpha Esports 3Z. Seem to be having a good time to kick things off. That ban, last one, taking their time is PSG Talon. The Aphelios have been banned away. Lee Sin. So I think there was probably debate on that jungle. Maybe it was going to be the Xin Zhao, but they didn't want to give the Lee over. So we'll see if that's the lock.
They probably don't know if K-Babe actually plays Xin Zhao or not, so they just thought, okay, we'll ban something we know he plays, but Lee Sin seems to be a... Yeah, Viego, okay. This is, the standard PCS blue side first pick in the meta. You could definitely flex it to jungle. It's still very strong in top and mid, even without the sustain. But there goes the Xin. The Xin is an absolute terrifying pick on 11.13. Everyone's been banning this. It's pretty much globally red side banned. And the reason is that it has one of the best early games for a jungler. You think about Diana's, you think about Rumbles having a lot of impact. Xin Zhao can beat those junglers hands down. He could honestly just kill those junglers level 3 versus level 4. So I expect a very dominating game from River, most likely going to be a double scuttle start in most scenarios.
Absolutely. Xin Zhao coming in strong pickup. They also will get their hands on the Thresh, a champion that has made its way into the ban column quite a lot for Kai Wing. Contesting on the opposite side should be the lock-in. If they take it, it's going to be that Nautilus. Really down to the wire there for Alpha as they take the time about this. If you're Alpha Esports, you've already given away power picks, but what kind of comp do you want to build here? The Callista could come in and kind of give a chance. Yeah, that's going to be locked. What do you want to do if you're Alpha Esports in this case, Clement?
I honestly felt like Alpha were kind of forced into picking the Callista at this point. You can't really give over the Shadow Isle combo with a Xin Zhao and expect to come out alive in your bot lane. The survivability in that lane is incredibly low. It's way too strong of a lane. So Alpha Esports, I feel like with that Callista, they have forced themselves into more of an early game snowball skirmish type of composition. This is going to be very heavy on execution, and I'm not sure that's the way you want to go against PSG. Against PSG, this is kind of a Hail Mary situation for them anyway, so they're going to go for straight early game while PSG pick in the Lulu that can honestly go into multiple lanes. I would not be overly surprised if we just see a mid lane Lulu. That definitely still works. We've seen it in the LPL. You could just speed up the Xin Zhao and have him sort of hyper carry your early game.
Yeah, Lulu coming through. Now onto the bans in phase 2. Gwen taken away. Alpha Esports trying for the snowball composition as they ban away some AD carries. The Jinx makes its way to the ban column. Jinx Thresh, good old combo. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah, and Jinx is one of those champions that honestly hasn't been nerfed too hard on this patch. We have seen champions like Kaisa, just kind of fall off quite hard, but Jinx is still playable. And when you have a double support composition coming out from PSG, you definitely do want to consider taking away some hyper carries. PSG probably not trying to hit the ball out of the park with the speed runs with this Lulu, but they could still have a pretty dominating early game if it goes mid, and which I expect Maple to play.
Hovering on the Ziggs right now. That does get locked in. Before that happened, I was questioning, like, they have the opportunity. They could go for the old Juggernaut if they really wanted to. But no, this is a much smart, safe pick. I like it. From PSG, Unified getting his hands on the Ziggs to try and destroy those towers. Alpha going to try and answer here, and it's going to be the Galio locked in.
Okay, I like this continuation from Alpha Esports. They definitely know that they want to play full-on early game, full-on engage, try to get those first kills off, get Viegos those resets, get Callista those red resets as well. And, this is a composition if that they somehow find one pick, they can snowball it into multiple kills really easily. If you're going up against a juggernaut like PSG, you better go into pretty extreme conditions to find the win. On the other hand, PSG, I feel like this comp is much safer. They have a lot of late game insurance with Ziggs and Gnar, and this Lulu, you might be thinking, who's she actually going to give that attack speed to? It's mainly going to be River. So PSG going to try to play a two-man game in the early, and I expect their sidelines to be pretty quiet for the most part.
Yeah, we saw River carry pretty hard yesterday. I mean, that was, I believe, up against Hong Kong Attitude. Had this Viego that just absolutely popped off with like a ridiculous scoreline. And yeah, the Xin Zhao is a champion that can just kind of go in and just keep smacking you with that spear. So Maple, slotting into a more supportive role this time around. And PSG, they've got a lot of options. Expect nothing less from this squad, but Alpha Esports, they have one goal, and it is to go in, go ham, and hopefully get the win. But that's always the hard part against PSG talent.
This is a great draft from Laba. I've got really nothing to complain here. He's got a multitude of power picks in the Renekton and the Viego. So, even though he gave away the Xin Zhao and Thresh, didn't end up that bad on the draft. There's a lot of consistency on what they want to do. So, I want to say, like, if this was any other team, I wouldn't be too surprised for Alpha Esports to take out the win. This is a really, really complete draft. But on the other hand, it is execution focused, and they are up against PSG. So the main thing we have to watch here is how is mid jungle going to do? Because if River, with this Lulu, is able to just go into Viego's jungle 24/7, then forget about your early game, forget about your tempo draft. It won't work. So that's where I'm going to keep my eyes focused on. Definitely going to be the early 2v2 skirmish that's going to decide most of it.
Certainly is going to be the case, and it's always going to be a tall order going up against PSG, but Alpha are certainly going to try, and they're going to try to end it early as we load up here into Summer's Rift for the second time tonight. Some troubling signs, though, for this team, as always. They had a hard time trying to execute a very similar composition, if I recall, yesterday up against Impunity, and it really wasn't until Impunity made a handful of mistakes that they really were able to find anything. So we're going to need to see a level up from this team today, and it's going to have to be a big one.
30 seconds until minion.
Yeah, I definitely expect, 3Z to be performing a little bit better. He's been solo killed in lane just way too many times, and On yesterday had a bit of an oopsie when he tried to flash on the enemy team.
PSG just 5-man bot lane. Can we find anybody in the brush? No? Okay, I guess we'll go home.
Maybe they still
just
have
saw
the
that happening.
Maybe they still have the speed run in mind. Maybe.
I mean, you might as well. Like PSG is they're a team of such a caliber that, they know what they're doing. If they want to have a little bit of fun, I think they've earned it.
For sure. Xiaotu, in the meantime, is going to go for the Predator rune here. So trying to roam a lot more rather than stay in lane. This is definitely what you want to pick if you're going for a 15-minute or bust type of game plan. Aftershock does serve you a lot better in teamfight scenarios, but Predator lets you get those early game surprises. And speaking about surprises, K-Babe going in.
The invade. K-Babe right here on the blue buff, going to try and contest this one away, and PSG, they back away pretty safely, but now it's full on under contest, and it's going to be some late lanes for the dual laners. And who will go down as they get the hook in onto the Nautilus, looking for that level 1. Shang a little low here, but River is going to be able to help secure first blood there for Unified. K-Babe does take down his opposite number. It ends up being a 1-for-1 trade. I feel like with K-Babe getting that kill, that might actually benefit.
Yeah, that's a massive win coming in from Alpha Esports. Xin Zhao's early game has gone kaput.
Oh dear.
There's not much he could actually do. Woo! Xiaotu, though, that's
meanwhile,
supposed to happen.
He just gets completely chunked. Bully Lulu, everyone. This is how that works. And 3Z's having a hard time too on the Renekton. But we talked about him getting soloed in lane a couple of times. It's not looking great for the solo lanes, but maybe K-Babe can come to the rescue. It's a good start for him.
At the very least, he's not going to get much pressure from Xin Zhao at the start of the game, but I do expect 3Z to be able to hold out a little bit better here. We have to remember that Gnar is actually one of his main champions as well, so he should understand how these trades go. In the meantime, the Viego getting off this start is absolutely massive. This is a champion that can hard carry. We talk about him being very similar to an 80 Katarina, so once he gets that damage threshold in the early game, it's reset city for him. Very hard to stop him, and we're going to see how River tries to come back in the game now.
Tries to contest the blue buff. Actually runs straight into K-Babe, so has to move away. It does seem like this early gamble with the invade starting to pay off, and River trying to compensate for that, just not able to do it. Uh-oh. Oh, dear. On is backing on a ward. The flash, the hook, unified. Finds the damage. Do they have enough to get the kill as the Nautilus comes in? Shang tries to finish the job, can't quite do it. Oh, that was just unfortunate backing.
Yeah, that was pretty damn sloppy coming in from On. Just usually when you see those backs, if you're trying to do a cheater recall, you definitely do it in the second brush, but not the first one. You just, you know, we have a meme about On is like when he was asked like sometimes, oh, why did you flash? And he just went, well, my fingers got a little bit lazy, and that was definitely one of those lazy plays where you shouldn't die in that situation.
Yeah, he was literally right on top of the ward. I mean, that just, it's, how much more do you have to get obvious there? Unfortunate for the alpha bottom laner, but all the same, it's a better start for this team than we might have expected otherwise. It's still going to be a little bit rough for those solo lanes. You can see 3Z actually doing okay to keep up in farm and levels, but in the mid lane, it's a bit of a different story here, as Zhao 2 has just been bullied mercilessly.
Yeah, he's getting pummeled super hard. I didn't expect him to go so low on the level 1, but definitely didn't happen. And looking at the map right now, the kill distribution is really good for Unified. We do have to remind our viewers that on this patch, the Luden's Tempest was actually got a discount by 200 gold. So he's actually going along super fast, and he's going to get that poke and burst item very early on.
On this time, not going to make the same mistake twice. Very wisely backs away when he sees Kaiwing coming in and is able to dodge the teleport, or excuse me, the Puck River. Gonna get caught out here, and here's K-Babes. River gonna go down again. They have to leave him for dead, and On picks up a kill. Zhao 2 even teleporting in just to say hello. Guess he got a bit lonely in the mid lane, and now it's gonna be Ocean Drake.
I gotta say, that was insanely cocky from River to not try to run away. He didn't have a flash there, and he just went on to Shun thinking that the rookie was playing a fool, but this is kind of a weird play. He knows the pathing of K-Babe. He knows that Viego should be in the bottom lane. That was, I don't know, that was just kind of disrespectful from River.
Yeah, I think a little bit of extra confidence coming out of that jungler that maybe isn't earned in this particular game here. And ooh, good taunt coming out of Zhao 2 onto Maple, but Lulu's going to be nice and safe. And I think we might need to pack away that the rest of the talk of the speed run, because Alpha's given him a little bit more of a challenge than I think PSG were ready for.
Yeah, this is definitely not one of River's better games. I felt like he took a ton of gambits in the early game trying to come back. Didn't really work out. The invade lost him, honestly, a lot of time on his own top side. And that death in the bottom lane definitely prevented it.
Oh, beautiful hook there. Do they have the damage, though, onto Kaiwing? Ooh, that minefield just holding a little too strong. Meanwhile, Kaiwing goes in for the re-engage. The teleport will complete. Shang gonna fall to Maple, and On. He should have just turned tail and run the moment he saw that TP coming through. The playback, the ignite, and the double kill from Maple. He's on the board, everybody. And the rest of the game on the other side of the map unfolds as River looks for Zhao 2, gets taken down with a little help from K-Babe.
Oh, he didn't make it past the blast cone, actually dies. Zhao might have actually flashed an auto attack that before River could get out of range, but at least, you know, the thing about PSG is you can cut off one head of the Hydra. They still have so many points that they can beat you with, and that's kind of the case as we see PSG actually wrestle back a lot of this gold lead with that double kill from Maple.
Oh boy. So PSG or Hydra, who's Captain America then?
So it should be someone on the opposite team that's Captain America.
Does that have to be this game, or are we going for the whole league? Because I was thinking maybe Beyond, you know? They came out of nowhere, they might have been frozen in a block of ice for a little while, and they challenged a bit. We'll work on it, it's okay.
I'm going to go with Gemini. Gemini, to me, feels like Captain America, because he's controlling the rest of his team. He basically has a team of rookies that he can shape to his own will, and, you know, Captain America is that guy that sort of tells everyone what to do. So I'm going to go with Gemini.
I like that. I like it. Yeah, and everybody listens because, you know, good leader. But unfortunately for Alpha, I don't know if they're any of the Avengers at this point, but we'll have to see. They are really giving PSG a pretty good game right now. The bottom lane needs to stop dying. Apart from that, it's a pretty good early game from Alpha, all things considered.
Yeah, definitely has been the case, and I think with this game, we really have to pay attention to how far K-Babe can snowball. Lee Sin yesterday, he had a lot of hiccups in terms of execution, But I think Viego in general is a little bit easier. You know, you could argue that maybe the kit stealing part is very difficult, but I think this is a champion that is actually fairly consistent right now, and I'm pretty sure Alpha could get 1 kill if they want to.
They're going to try for that as the Rift Herald's still aggroed. In fact, they have a little bit of split focus right now as River is going to get the first kill onto Shang. Meanwhile, Hanabi coming into the side and is about to go Mega. The rest of Alpha really need to get the heck out of Dodgers. They've lost their tanky support, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it. 3Z trying for 1 kill under River. He can't quite do it. They get punished for their hubris. 3 kills to 0.
Yeah, that was a pretty weird fight for Alpha. I expected them to full turn onto the right side. If you watch that fight, Hanabi really didn't come in at a great rage bar scenario, so you just try to play away from the Gnar, full engage onto right side. You don't even try to touch a Herald at this point, but as we can see, and as you mentioned, On and K-Babe actually back out at the start of this one, and they just leave their front line to the wolves. So
yeah, that was unfortunate. You know, I mean, they get the Rift Herald, but it ends so quickly, and the target priority there. River, he nearly went down, actually, so credit to 3Z for trying to make the most of a bad situation, but the shield comes in just in time. I mean, that's why you picked the Lulu, for exactly that kind of situation. So, well, what can you do? PSG finding themselves with a pretty sizable gold advantage now, about 3,000 at the 10-minute mark, and a few neutral objectives in the pocket of Alpha, but that starts to change your calculus a bit.
River also got a triple kill in that team fight, so he's pretty much back in the game at this point. They can't really expect to push into his jungle and bully him anymore, and in fact, if you look at the items, he's got the Mythic completed before K-Babe. All that early game, basically down the drain.
It was a nice start, but yeah, River comes right back with a lot of gold in his pocket, gets the core drinker. Dragon gonna spawn in 9 seconds. It will be the Infernal, and Alpha, they are setting up for this, but there's so many points of ingress at this point that you have to be worried this isn't gonna be so easy. K-Babe will aggro it, pull it out of the pit here, but no wall to escape over, if need be. Xiao Tu trying to block for this, and he's just going to go for the solo play for now. They do have pretty good objective control here when you think about it, because On does have those spears and the rent stacks to pull out, but they immediately turn the moment they see River and Maple, and now the fight's going on again, and On, where the heck did his Elfbar go? I don't believe it here. They're just shredding through everything. Shang cannot go anywhere as the Lantern will pull River in once again, and well, not so much of a hero's entrance, more of a hero's retreat. And that's going to be it for that fight. PSG take a clean 2 and stop the Dragon.
This is a very clear example of how you can tell Alpha Esports has tremendous problem with communication. That was actually a team fight that they could have taken. They just needed to focus onto the right side completely. You have Fate's Call, you have the Depth Charge, you just turn on Unified. You just run straight at him and try to kill him, or you could go for Kaiwing because he doesn't even have a flash. But Alpha Esports failed to execute. They just didn't pull the trigger. I was really surprised by that because they had 3 ultimates. It was a very clear situation where they could have beat back the right side flank quite easily, in fact. And they just didn't have the coordination to do it. PSG, you know, flanking is usually a lot harder than turning on the flank, but that should not have been so easy for PSG.
Yeah, and that's, you know, it's unfortunate to see because Alpha built this composition that needs to try and snowball, that needs to try to win fights. They had a good start to it. You know, they go a little deep, they get a little greedy, and they get punished for it in one fight, and all of a sudden they're playing on the back foot and playing much more timidly than they should, and there's no win condition in that. And at this point, you're starting to see the items, as you mentioned, really creep up there. Not only does the Lulu have that Shirelia's, but the 10 stacks on the Dark Seal. I got a question for you, Clement. Is this one of those games where Maple goes, hey, Mission, I saw your Medjai's LeBlanc. I raise you, Medjai's Lulu.
Well, I think he has a much better shot at getting 25 stacks this game than compared to the last one, so we'll see how that ends up. This is 320 gold on, I think, over to K-Babe.
Oh, River, he does so much damage right here. K-Babe trying to find an answer, looking for Maple. It's just not happening. The health bars are just shredded, and River, he just does not care. And with Maple, it's just this 2-man kill squad, and they select their appropriate targets and just execute with Terminator-like precision.
No Juggernaut comp, no problem. In this game, River is your Cogmom. He benefits greatly from the attack speed, and this is what we've come to expect out of PSG, just dominating 2v2 performances right there. You know, the item difference, the gold lead was very, very radically one-sidedly favored, and I'm not too surprised by that outcome. Finally, Alpha with an aggressive play that fizzles completely.
Yeah, really trying for it, just not able to find much. It's a sizable gold lead here. You started to lose out on neutral objectives. They have been losing pressure in their solo lanes for this entire game, and that is just a measure of how well PSG solo laners have really been doing, not just in picks, but in what they've been able to execute on. And you can see the result, and the difference is turret plates, just so many. A handful there for Alpha, but that's about it. And the longer this game goes, it's only going to get worse from here. Alpha needs to pull the trigger, and they need to be able to find that angle in. It's so hard to do that.
960 gold difference just from the platings at this point. I think the play that I'm looking to, I'm anticipating to see is on using that Fate's Call, throwing his support in, getting that Galio's Hero's entrance into the field, and just snipe off one target. That's all you need to do. Make sure K-Babe gets the reset, and then you can snowball the fight from there. So far, they've actually been given quite a few opportunities by PSG to pull off that combo. They just never pulled the trigger. I'm not sure why. It seems like the comms are a little bit off here. I'm not sure who's the main shot caller is in this situation for Alpha Esports. I can picture it in my head. It's definitely a workable solution. They just need to be able to put all of the ultimates in the correct sequence and actually execute.
Yeah, it's just so hard to do against a team of PSG's caliber. The teleport comes in here for Unified, and it looks like they're going to try to control out the Rift Herald. And, oh, Alpha, they see the pincer coming and say, no, 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 no. We don't want any of this, but they cannot get out in time. Great initiative charged by River, and Maple picks up the first casualty of the fight here on Shank, and they just sandwich them into the wall with the big Gnar, the double kill for River. And it didn't matter if they wanted to get out of there, Clement. They had no chance.
Yeah, I don't really understand what Alpha Esports' game plan there is. PSG has full lane priority, so you have to expect that they're going to be able to come in. If I'm Alpha and I put myself in Herald, I'm 100% using that Herald as a teamfight turn. But I don't understand what Alpha Esports was expecting. Of course PSG is going to come in. Of course they're going to try and sandwich you. It's your job to be ready for the engage, and it seems like they were the ones surprised in that scenario. I just don't. I really don't get it. Like, if I'm Alpha, the only reason I'm going to Herald is to make sure I get a team fight. But maybe it was just the speed at which PSG was able to collapse. Maybe it was the coordination. But Alpha Esports definitely felt like they were the ones that were odd in that fight.
Yeah, they just, it smells of desperation to me, right? It's like, I think the mentality is something like, we can rush this down, we can do this before they get here. And then the moment that existential dread sets in, they're like, no, we can't, no, we can't, no, we can't. And then the big Gnar puts 3 against the wall. Meanwhile, speaking of Gnar, the little Gnar just shrugs off a 1v2. Technically a 1v3, but K-Babe just kind of came in to extract the lane tax. They will go for the re-engage, though. Zhao never did leave, and they may be able to find this kill. They do. But River is in for some revenge, looking for Zhao 2. He does manage to find it. Can you find KB as well? Who was in Gnar form at the time, goes in once more, the pull, and that's the double kill. River just too damn tanky, and now the cavalry has arrived. Every time they take one step forward, it looks like it's 2 steps backwards.
Is that a Penta?
And that's going to be the quadra kill.
Oh,
PSG.
let's go!
Penta, my goodness! On day number 2. Okay, let's reset that clock for the speed run, Clement.
River starts this game out 0-3 and comes back to get a pentakill. This was the worst early game that I've ever seen River play into. And he redeems himself with that Xin Zhao play. Really fun to watch. It was pretty one-sided, I'm going to be absolutely honest. It didn't feel like he was in that much danger throughout the entire fight. This is the classical PSG Hanabi sacrificial bait, where the entire team is just around the corner, making sure that they can pick up all the stragglers here. But still really nice to see River, and this is why Xin Zhao is so powerful. You know, when it looks like he's in trouble, he uses that Crescent Guard, stops all the incoming damage, and he has the sustain plus the attack speed buff from Lulu to just mow down these members from Alpha. And you can definitely see right there, Unified with the emotes. Actually, it was River with the emotes. Unified holding his hand to make sure that his jungler gets the penta.
Yeah, no, they were firing on all the cylinders they needed to, just cutting off the lines of escape so that River just got champions funneled directly into him. So, what a turnaround. I mean, there was, for one shining moment for Alpha, it was like, oh, we shut down River, we got this, and just completely denied. 12-3-7, picks up the pentakill, now has the Rift Herald for this team. We're only 18 minutes, almost 19 minutes into this, and they are knocking on the front doors. You mentioned Hanabi being the sacrifice. He's probably going to be again as he hops, skips, and jumps over. And they will come to his rescue here. The big Gnar actually gets 3 against the wall. I don't think he even needs the help. Now all of a sudden it's Alpha running the opposite direction.
On's emote is so sad.
Oh, he's so dead.
Well,
They're just
he
having
knows
fun.
he's
They're
a
playing with
goner.
their food.
I would hate to be Alpha Esports in this situation. I think K-Babe's making the right call right here. It's time to solo split push.
Yeah, stagger the backs. There we go. Unified gets the kill eventually. Yeah, K-Babe's trying his hardest, right? I mean, you've got to knock down at least one tower in this game. You've got to find an in somewhere, because right now it's 5-0. It's about to be 6. K-Babe will answer back on the top side just in time, but the Rift Herald is going to get popped here on Inhibitor Turret. And I don't think we're going to get that speedrun record, but we're going to get close, Clement.
Yeah, I think it will be a record for this split at least. Like, this could very well be a Dancing Herald if they choose to protect it a little bit.
Let's see if they can pull it off. Nobody's aggroing right now. In fact, they turn on to Shank. Shelly will get the hit. Oh no! Falls down to the tower, and River just going deep yet again, forcing the rest of Alpha Esports back onto their own fountain. And not a whole lot of minions, but not a whole lot of problems if you're PSG Talon right now. 20-30 looks to be the game time as they just have a little bit of fun with it, as you do when you're this far ahead. Try to pad those kill stats. Threshbox comes in for Kaiwing just to block, and River's got his eye on the prize of the Nexus. Hanabi will get K-Babe completely off screen here, and this will be the end of the game at sub 21 minutes. That will be that record for Summer.
20-48, off of a terrible start from PSG. River comes back huge with the pentakill and all the beautiful finishes. Honestly, this was about as good as a start and about as good as draft as you could have hoped coming out from Alpha Esports, but it really didn't even phase PSG.
Not at all, and you know you gotta credit the mental toughness. Obviously, I mean a team of this caliber is going to be able to shrug that off just a little bit. But it looked like Alpha did everything they could in the beginning. You know, we talked about their draft. We liked what they were able to put together. As you got to do against a team this good, you got to find something that can get you a win early and surprise the enemy team, or at least overpower them. I loved the level 1 play. It was great. They got the shutdown on River. Everything seemed to be going well, but they forgot one very important thing, Clement. It's PSG.
Yeah, I think. Sorry.
It was PSG. You can't discount this team. Can come right back into it.
Oh, I lost you for a second right there, but yeah,
sorry.
PSG played really well. I think the objective fights should have been a lot better from Alpha Esports, though. There was a Herald fight, I think 2 Herald fights and 1 Drake fight, where PSG were forced to play a flank against a very heavy engaged team. And we just never saw the Fates Call, Death Charge, Hero's Entrance combo. That never, ever came out. It should have been everyone just press R, get 1 kill, snowball the fight. But that's the thing about Alpha Esports and why I feel like they have underperformed so heavily despite having veterans is they have a lot of players that are connecting from overseas and they just don't have the comms to actually pull off these wombo combos. Like, I think their best games have been when they have these small skirmishes with K-Babe playing by himself and the rest of the team doing something else. But when they're together and when they actually have to execute in tandem, it's just never materialized, and I feel kind of disappointed. I feel like I was robbed by that game. I wanted an Alpha Esports underdog story, a team fight wombo combo, and I just didn't get it.
Yeah, not against this squad. I mean, I think there were enough ingredients there to maybe against some of the weaker teams we can see that pulled off by Alpha, but I do think those teams were probably watching and taking notes in this particular game. And it just, once again, it puts another stamp, another tick of the box there for PSG, who improved to 3-0 in the split. really were no doubts that they'd be able to put this one away, but it was a surprising early game. I love that cheeky level 1. It worked out really well, and River was, for like 3-4 minutes, River was having a hard time. And then he got a pentakill, so none of it mattered. But what can't this man play is my question.
Well, we're going to find out pretty soon, but I would not want to give him Xin Zhao. I think giving him Xin Zhao in this patch is very much akin to suicide. He's also playing with the best mid laner in the league as well, so if you give him a strong dueling champion outside of this game, I do expect him to be able to just punish enemy junglers over and over again. Xin Zhao level 3 is one of the most disgusting champions on this patch, especially with the range increase on the Audacious Charge now. It's very easy for him to follow after you, even after you flash.
Yeah, and there were some really beautiful pincer plays from Hanabi that game too. I think that was one of the things I really liked watching about the way PSG plays, is that they just, the moment they smelled blood, it was like the trap just was sprung before anyone saw it. And Hanabi really played well around his Narbar. And even the moments when he looked caught, right? Like, except that one time he overstayed, he was perfectly fine. And there you have it, the gold graph. You could pick 2, maybe 3 of the Alpha Esports players, put them together, and they still wouldn't have as much gold as River did.
That's so ridiculous to see. Jesus. Him having 20,000 damage, and you can show... Yeah, 20,000 damage. And this is kind of the flexibility about Maple as well. They can shift into this sort of Juggernaut composition on demand. So I think a lot of teams look at this draft and they have to be aware of the potential AP in the bottom side, and also the potential for them to just play a Kog'Maw or a Felios comp off of the Thresh. So it just goes to show you that PSG has a very, very broad coverage on what is being played in the meta right now.
Yeah, they certainly do, and there's just it's so hard to try and pick ban against this team, not just because they're so mechanically skilled and so coordinated as a team, but because they just have so many options. I mean, we talk about Maple having a champion ocean all the time. The Lulu, yet another one of those champions that can come in and really do some serious plays. But the fact that they can shift it up on the fly, and as you said, do this kind of like Juggernaut composition. This time it was putting it all onto the Xin Zhao. That's 2 games in a row we've seen jungle carry, and I don't think it should be any surprise that we see River with the MVP from 0-3 to pentakill. Wow.
Yeah, he didn't die after that and got 14 kills to make up for his early game transgressions. Was a little bit cocky in the early game, to be absolutely honest. I don't feel like his second death was warranted whatsoever, but he definitely did make up for it. And I think this is also, I believe, our second Xin Zhao game so far. And we got a good showcase of why this champion is so incredibly powerful. He just pops up before a lot of the other meta junglers can actually come into fruition and come into the strong phases of the game. Talk about Viego jungle. He doesn't really have that good of an early game. He doesn't gank very well, and you really need that Blade of the Ruin King to kind of pop off. So he's more of a second item jungler. But if you're Xin Zhao, you start from strength to strength at level 3. You get that Gorge Reeker, which is a massive spike, and you're just unkillable from team fights on that point.
Yeah, we saw his health bar just kind of like stops, and it just goes forward, and he's just able to keep getting those kills. But that's all she wrote for PSG. We will be back with more of the PCS after this quick 10-minute break. Don't go anywhere.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire? Kiss me, baby, touch me. Kiss me, baby, love me.
CDBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
Can't you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire? Kiss me, baby, touch me. Kiss me, baby, love me.
CDBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
We are family.
Can't you see my heart is lost without you? And your kisses make me love you more. And your kisses make me love you more. Can't you hear the sound of love and desire?